My friends, I've got a video that I want you to see. I took this a while back. It's been sitting in the can for a long time because I don't have an ending for it. And I debated and debated about putting it out, and I finally decided to go ahead and release the video because it contains a great lesson for young luthiers and luthiers that have less experience. This was one of the hardest buzzes I've ever tried to find in my life. It was just impossible, basically. But I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to let you watch the short video, and then at the end, I'll tell you how it actually concluded because there is no ending. I'm very sorry. Enjoy. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. I have my good buddy, Dr. Spadaro. There he is. You know, I don't work on classical guitars. I just don't. I don't work on those, and I don't work on, the plastic body things. What are they called?
Ovations?
Ovations. There you go. I can never think of words. You know me and names and titles. I can't think of them. But for a good friend like him, I'll make an exception. Look at this case. This case probably costs more than any guitar I've ever owned. Take a look at this. Well, let me turn it around this way so you can see the guitar and the case first. That case is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and the guitar is gorgeous. Looks like it has a redwood top. Is that what it has?
Cedar.
Cedar top?
Cedar top,
and I'm sure he's right. That's what he said it is. It just looks like redwood from the color and the tiny grain and everything. But either way, western cedar or redwood, they're both awesome woods for a top of a guitar. And this one is exceptional quality in terms of tight grain. That grain is so crazy tight. I think the widest grain I see on there is under a 1/16 of an inch, way under that actually. In fact, I'd say most of the grain is 1 millimeter or less. I would even say quite a bit less. Very tight grain. Beautiful guitar. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, and then let's see, the back and sides look like they're a type of rosewood. Is that right?
Indian, yeah.
Indian rosewood?
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Very light guitar, very, very light. What brand is it? It's
Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez,
Yep.
looks like, made in Spain.
Yep.
I can tell you right now, that's a high-end guitar. You can just tell by looking. It's a beautiful, beautiful guitar. Super well-made. Just a really well-made guitar. Look at the, even got design back here. Very beautiful. So, Mr. Jim, what's the problem with this guitar?
It's got some buzzing when you in the E string and then also on the D string.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get it down here and take a look at that. You can see how much a nylon string vibrates. Just look, you can just see the big pattern there in the vibration. Well, that vibration is up and down as well as sideways. And, you know, they're flexible strings. And then so when you've got to have quite a bit of clearance. So these strings are set quite a bit higher than your steel string guitar. Me personally, I'm not hearing much of a buzz, but it depends a lot on your style of playing and how you play. For instance, the fellow just returned my last Hurrah guitar, and he's talking about a buzz on the E string. And me personally, I don't hear the buzz, but I think it's how he plays it, and and the style that he plays. So I'm going to have Jim play this for me and show me where it's buzzing, and then maybe I can get to the bottom of the problem. Maybe there's one little tiny high fret. I've looked down the fretboard, I don't see a high fret, but sometimes there's things there you just don't see, and I do see a little more underbow in the neck than I would have expected. But not very much. I mean, it's not like it's huge, but a little more than I would see in, say, a steel string guitar. These typically don't have truss rods in them, so we can't do anything about that. Off camera here, we're going to have Jim show me what he's talking about, and we'll see if we can figure this out.
But these are supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to, and not have it buzz.
Okay, do that one more time, that first thing you were doing. Well, let me see something for just a second. I mean, I don't know much about classical or playing classical, and as a matter of fact, what I know about playing classical, you could put in a thimble and have plenty of room left over. What I was seeing is it seemed like when you were doing that chord, it seemed like the chord the finger that was on that string that was buzzing was at that end of the fret. Well, if it is, then it's more likely to buzz. I will say that. If they're noted in the middle or close to the fret, I don't hear any buzzing at all. Wow. Now you know why I don't work on classicals. Honestly, I'm not sure what we need to do about that, because I don't see much. Just looking down, it looks flatter than a pancake in terms of the frets relative to one another. Often I can say, well, that fret there's high, like this fret's high or whatever, and I don't see that at all looking down it. Now, other people will say you got to have a straight edge. Well, yeah, so whatever. I don't think I need a straight edge. I've never needed one in 40 years. I seriously do not see a problem anywhere. The only solution that I can comprehend almost is raising this up, and it seems pretty darn high already to me. I wouldn't think that would be a good solution. And the other problem with a classical, which is not fun, is to take the strings off of them. You either have to take it off here or up here, and it's not like pulling the pin and the string's loose instantly. So you got to do a little more work than that to get the strings loose. And the reason I'm concerned about that is if I could take off 2 or 3 strings, I could put something on here and just see how level they are to one another while it's still under tension, But the only way I can see to do this is, well, you just have to do more work, that's all. It would be nice to be able to check it better. And when I say better, I'm talking about using my file on it, lay it on there and rub it, because I can always feel a high spot with this file. And you can't really do that when the strings are on it very easily. I'm just doing this just as a sanity check. I'm going to have to use my close-up glasses to see if I see anything. And I probably better just go to a steel ruler because can't see it as well with that. I mean, there's a significant underbow, like I said, but in terms of relative flatness to one another, I don't see any obvious problem. In other words, if you put a fret rocker on there, I don't think it's going to rock anywhere. Let me find something I can use as a fret rocker here.
Send it back if I want, but I mean, I need to do that.
Oh, that's a long ways to send it, isn't it? You got to send it to Spain. I'm just using this little short scraper as a. It's very flat, and I don't feel any particular high spots anywhere. I don't see any high spots. Like when I'm looking at an angle like this where the light would shine under it, I don't see anything. So leveling the frets, I don't think is going to make much difference in this case.
Okay.
I think about the only option I can see would be if we, you know, raise this saddle up a little bit more. But, you know, for my money, I mean, of course, I'm used to working on steel string instruments. I mean, this is already pretty darn high. I'm not sure where the 12th fret is there, but
it's right at the body there.
Is it at the body, 12th fret at the body? I mean, we're already at 135 thousandths, and when I typically am setting them at about 90, that seems really high, you know. So, I mean, again, I don't know. Is that high for a classical? I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Now, on this side, it's quite a bit lower. We're not even quite to 90 yet on this side. So, you know, I don't know.
More trouble than it's worth.
No, it's not more trouble than it's worth. I can tell you it's worth a lot. It's a nice guitar. I'm just not sure I'm your guy for fixing it, but I'm just trying to decide. I can see a very, very slight hump here, but I kind of doubt that's where the buzz is coming from. I have a feeling the buzz is coming from close to where you're noting it. I can see a slight hump here, but I don't think that's where it's hitting. Well, my money is on, for right now, the only place I could see any abnormality is right in here. And it's so minor that, like on a steel string guitar, this wouldn't even be enough to care.
Yep.
Maybe it matters on this, with this extra vibration. So I'm going to take these top 3 strings off, and I'm going to do a very light leveling on this and just see if I feel anything or anything unusual. That's about the only thing I know to do, and we'll give it a shot and see if there's anything there that comes out or shows up. Okay, I've loosened up the 3 strings on this. I've got my fret file. I'm going to, what I always do, it looks like I'm pushing, but I'm not really pushing very hard. I'm just kind of gliding it over this, and I start to feel where I feel a bump, and I do feel a little bump, and I think I already see it removing a little bit of metal right there. I do feel a little hump, and there is some metal coming off, but I'm not pressing very hard. I always just do it lightly like this because I can feel anything grab as it goes across these frets relative. And I do feel a little bit of grabbing up in here too, but not very much. It's not going to take much to level it off. So let's go ahead and level this area. And this fret right here is definitely a little high. This one here maybe, and maybe just right here. So there's a little bit of a hump there. I don't feel much up here, very little. And you have to fan that out so that all the frets are level relative to one another. You can't just level one area. I don't feel anything else, so to me that's about as much as it needs. This one came down quite a bit, this one a little bit here. A little less as I go beyond that. So let me recrown them. I'm going to do that off camera because you've seen me recrown frets a million times. And basically I'm just recrowning this side, of course. I'm not recrowning over there where those strings are still on. and then I'll individually sand each one with the little cover that I use, and to protect the fretboard. And then we'll string it back up. We'll show you what it looks like when we get it strung back up. Well, I've just looked down at now that I've polished the frets back up and everything, cleaned it all up, and looking down it, I mean, the word perfect is different meanings to different people, but in my opinion, this is perfect. I mean, it is just as perfect as it could be. So, if that's going to fix it, it did. But I kind of have my doubts that that's actually going to fix it. I'm just being honest. I think that it's probably going to require us to make a taller saddle, but we'll see. Now I'm going to work my little Chinese jigsaw puzzle here and rethread these strings, which is not that easy to do when you're working with a very, 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 very short little piece of string here, and you have to feed it back through here. So I'll do that all off camera. Well, my friends, as you can see, it ended very abruptly there. And I'm sorry, I don't know if I lost the footage or if I just got so frustrated I quit filming, or maybe when we got so excited when we found it, we just forgot to film it. I don't know, or maybe it was all of the above. But let me just explain to you what actually happened. After I got the strings back on it, Jim played it again, and this time he was playing it just kind of light, not really playing very hard. He wasn't doing the heavy flamenco type style playing. He was just playing. And he's going, yep, I still hear it. I still hear the buzzing. And I'm sitting across from him. In other words, I'm sitting right here. He's sitting right there. And he's playing, and I don't hear any buzzing at all. Zero, not one tiny little bit. And I'm good at hearing buzzing. And I heard nothing. It was as clear as a bell. And I'm thinking, what is going on? There's no explanation. And I know it's not in his frets. I just know it because his frets are perfect, or as perfect as it can be. So I don't know if I was out of frustration or what, but I got up and I walked around, and I was going somewhere to do something, and my head passed right by the peg head of the guitar while he was playing. And I went, whoa, I heard it. And he's going, you heard it? You heard what? And I said, I heard your buzz. I know where your buzz is coming from. So I said, play it again. And I said, yep, I hear it for sure. And it turned out it was in one of his tuning keys. It was one of the pegs, one of the buttons was loose, and the screw had to be screwed in. And it was only buzzing when he would hit certain notes on certain strings. It's what you call a sympathetic buzz. And even those kinds of buzzes, typically, I can hear right at the very beginning. I usually hear them just like that. But I didn't in this case because it was extremely subtle, and it was only on a certain couple of notes, and it just so happened that my ear was close to the peg head when he hit those notes, and I heard it. And that's all it turned out to be. It was just all of that frustration could have just been fixed by just tightening the screw up in the tuning key. And that's all it was. And he never had any more problem after that. So I'm very sorry that we didn't have a better ending, but I'm hoping the explanation will make sense to you. And I'm hoping that it will still serve to be a very good lesson for young luthiers, people who are having a buzz on their own instrument and they just can't figure out what it is. It could easily be something like that. It's happened to me many times before that I found those kinds of buzzes, but in this particular case, it was much more subtle than normal. It's just that Jim has good hearing, and he could hear this little tiny, little bitty, fuzzy buzz, and that's what was driving him crazy. He was about ready to ship the guitar back to the guy in Spain, and I'm pretty sure the guy in Spain would never have heard it either, So it's a very good thing that we accidentally found it. I hope that you will still consider it a viable video, and I hope you'll still consider that you learned something from it, and I hope you'll still give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next video.